Good morning and welcome to Western Texas College's observance of Veterans Day. The true focus of today's brief ceremony is to honor our living veterans, remember those who paid the ultimate price, inspire a new generation to serve, and to educate. On the education front, it's important to understand the genesis of Veterans Day. World War I ended on November 11th, 1918, with the signing of an armistice by the Allies and Germany. It wasn't until 1938 that Congress called for the observance of Armistice Day in churches and schools. In 1954, Armistice Day officially became Veterans Day. Understand the distinction between today and Memorial Day. We take this day to honor all men and women who served or are serving in military service, on or off the continent. Here at the college, we've always reported to work on Veterans Day, and there was a groundswell of our faculty that came to me over 2 years ago and said there should be some recognition of this day and its true meaning. Today is the second of our annual observances of this important day. It was President John F. Kennedy who said, "As we express our gratitude, we must never forget that the highest appreciation is not to utter words, but to live by them." Today, at WTC, we hope these actions that we are taking right now demonstrate the sincerity of our words. As a prelude to today's ceremony, we have two WTC students who will read excerpts from famous literary works dealing with the experience of war and its aftermath. First, Alex Dreeth, then Cassandra Siebenurler. Excuse me, Cassandra. Go ahead, Alex.
In this scene, King Henry and his cousin, Westmoreland, discuss the upcoming battle. The cousin says to Henry, he wishes he had but 10,000 of those men in England that do no work today. To this, Henry replies, "No, my fair cousin, if we are marked to die, we are now. To do our country's loss, and if to live, the fewer men, the greater share the honor. But if it be a sin to covet honor, I am the most offending soul alive. I would not lose so great an honor. That he which halt no stomach to this fight, let him depart. We would not die in that man's company, that fears his fellowship to die with us. This day is called the Feast of Crispian. He that outlives this day and comes safe home will stand a tiptoe when this day is named, and rouse himself at the name of Crispian. He that shall live this day and see old age, will yearly on this vigil feast his neighbors and say, tomorrow is St. Crispian's day. Then will he strip his sleeves and show his scars, and say, these wounds I had on Crispian's day. Old men will forget, yet all shall be forget. But he'll remember, with advantages, what feats he did that day. Then shall our names, familiar in his mouth as household words, Harry the King, Bedford and Exeter, Warwick and Talbot, Salisbury and Gloucester, be in their flowing cups freshly remembered. This story shall the good man teach his son, and Crispian shall ne'er go by. For this day to the ending of the world, but we in it shall remember. We few, we happy few, we band of brothers. For he today that sheds his blood with me shall be my brother. But he ne'er so vile this day shall gentle his condition. And gentlemen in England, now abed, shall think themselves accursed they were not here, and hold their manhoods cheap, whiles any speak that fought with us upon St. Crispin's Day.
Ernest Hemingway's short story, Soldier's Home, written in 1925, portrays a returning veteran of World War I and the emotions he feels after the battles of war are over. Krebs went to the war from a Methodist college in Kansas. There is a picture which shows him among his fraternity brothers, all of them wearing exactly the same height and style collar. He enlisted in the Marines in 1917 and did not return to the United States until the 2nd Division returned from the Rhine in the summer of 1919. There is a picture which shows him on the Rhine with 2 German girls and another corporal. Krebs and the corporal look too big for their uniforms. The German girls are not beautiful, and the rhyme does not show in the picture. By the time Krebs returned to his hometown in Oklahoma, the greeting of heroes was over. He came back much too late. The men from the town who had been drafted had all been welcomed elaborately on their return. There had been a great deal of hysteria, and now the reactions had set in. People seemed to think it was rather ridiculous for Krebs to be getting back so late, years after the war was over. At first, Krebs did not want to talk about the war at all. Later, he felt the need to talk, but no one wanted to hear about it. His town had heard too many atrocity stories to be thrilled by actualities. Krebs found that to be listened to at all, he had to lie. And after he had done this twice, he too had a reaction against the war and against talking about it. A distaste for everything that had happened to him in the war had set in because of the lies he had told. All of the times that had been able to make him feel cool and clear inside himself when he thought of them, the times so long back when he had done the one thing, the only thing for a man to do, easily and naturally when he might have done something else, now lost their cool, valuable quality, and then were lost themselves. His lies were quite unimportant lies, and consisted in attributing to himself things other men had seen, done, or heard of, and stating as facts certain apocryphal incidents familiar to all soldiers. His lies were not sensational. His acquaintances, who had heard detailed accounts of German women found chained to machine guns in the Argonne, were not thrilled by his stories. Krebs acquired the nausea in regard to experience that is the result of untruth or exaggeration, and when he occasionally met another man who had really been a soldier, he fell into the easy pose of the old soldier among other soldiers, that he had been badly, sickeningly frightened all of the time.
One other focus for today's ceremony is the college's desire to honor one particular family for their service to this nation. The Buchanan family, represented today by three surviving brothers, Valton, Dub, and JB, have made a historic contribution to our military. The brothers hold the record for most siblings serving with 6. 3 other brothers, Tommy, Weldon, and Wayne, have passed away. The family was raised on a farm in Hermley, 6 brothers enlisted in the service, 3 of which we are honoring here today and are honored to have with us. JB, the youngest, served the longest, with a decade of service, much of which in Germany before 2 tours in Vietnam. Dub was the only non-Army veteran in the family, instead serving in the Air Force, mostly in Iceland. Valton was an Army tanker and mechanic who saw combat in Korea. Ladies and gentlemen, faculty, staff, students of Western Texas College, and residents of Scurry County, I would like to ask the Buchanan brothers to rise to be recognized. Then I would like to ask all of you to rise after them to pay tribute to their service and the service of their brothers to the United States of America and the freedom-loving people of the world. First, the Buchanan brothers. Please.